In 2018, the internet was overcome by a seemingly new trend: YouTube personalities facing each other in high-profile boxing matches. The pioneer of this trend was definitely the match between American YouTuber Logan Paul and British vlogger KSI. Their younger brothers, Jake Paul and Deji, fought on the undercard of that match. The fight seemed as a gimmick, nothing more. Fight fans didn't seem to take it seriously, and YouTube continued on much like normal. But something seemed to have clicked for Jake Paul after this fight. Before making a living as a vlogger, Paul had been a long-time amateur athlete, and so the concept of training wasn't new to him. Jake Paul seemed to take a pivot into the boxing world very seriously, surprising the combat sport community. Though his foray into boxing is still quite young, Jake Paul is as yet undefeated. Here are some of his most savage moments from his boxing career so far. Like, share, and subscribe to the Ultimate Fighting Network as we explore some of Jake Paul's most savage moments in boxing. Despite it not being a professional fight, Jake Paul's exhibition boxing match against Deji in 2018 was a bit of a watershed moment for the American vlogger and former Vine star. To most watching, it felt like nothing but a gimmick, a PR stunt at best. Some serious boxing fans were dubious at what they felt was an insult to their sport, and fans of the Paul brothers likely weren't sure what they were watching. But something odd happened for anyone who was paying attention. Not only did Jake Paul win the fight in the 5th round after Deji's team threw in the towel, but he also displayed some inkling of raw talent, showing that he was taking the fight more seriously than just a gimmick. He showed good cardio, accuracy, and power behind his punches. It was a small window into what would become a larger path. In late 2019, Jake Paul's first professional boxing match was against fellow YouTuber Anissan Gibb, or Gibb for short. The two YouTube celebrities would co-feature on a card with professional fighters, a huge leg up for Paul's budding fight career. Though purists still seem to find the whole thing distasteful, especially with the amount of colorful trash talk beforehand, the structure of the fight was legit and professional. From the first bell, it was clear that Gibb was nervous, and he came out aggressive but largely unproductive. Paul, on the other hand, was calm and confident, throwing relatively few punches, but each one much more carefully planned out than Gibb's fervent strikes. Because Gibb did not effectively defend himself, Jake Paul managed to knock him down a handful of times before, with nearly 30 seconds left in the first round, the referee stopped the fight. Jake Paul had attained his first professional boxing win, and he did it by keeping his cool, something he's not exactly famous for.
He's hurt, and now he's down again, and that is it!
Okay, maybe Jake Paul could win one professional match, but could he do it again? He was given the opportunity in mid-2020 when Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. emerged from retirement for a much-publicized exhibition match. Jake Paul managed to get on the undercard of this high-profile fight, and his opponent would be former pro basketball player Nate Robinson, who had never boxed professionally before this fight. Despite this, it was clear that this would be Jake's first real push as a fighter. Robinson was not as frantic an opponent as Gibb had been. Instead, he might have been too reluctant, leaning on the clinch far too often. After a lot of clinching and feeling each other out, Jake found his opening in the first round, knocking Robinson to the canvas, a hint of what was to come. In the second round, Jake managed the first true knockout of his career. So brutal, it made commentator Snoop Dogg sing a hymn.
Jake, caught him. Oh my God! Lord have mercy!
Thanks for watching this far. Please help support us by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. We appreciate you.
In 2021, Jake Paul faced his biggest challenge yet as a boxer, going toe-to-toe with a true professional fighter. Ben Askren, a big name in the MMA world, was a huge draw as Paul's opponent. He is a top-tier trash talker, making all of the pre-fight promotional material much more fun to watch, especially since Jake Paul didn't seem to know how to keep up. Askren also had a long fight record, so there was much more to analyze before he stepped into the ring with Jake Paul. Fight fans recognized Askren, and many liked him, so the prospect of him defeating Jake Paul felt correct and exciting. But there were still some misgivings. For one thing, Ben Askren is not a boxer. If anything, his reputation in MMA is as a wrestler and a grappler, not even striking. So while he had more experience than Paul, it was not in the skill set required. When the two finally met in the ring, things played out the way some pundits feared they would. All the trash talk melted away, and Jake Paul proved, once again, that he's a serious contender. In the first round, he found his opening and rocked Askren with a vicious knockdown. Soon after, the referee stopped the fight, making Jake Paul 3-0 in his professional boxing career.
Champion Jean Pascal and
Get my
also
money,
cruiserweight
Jake! Get
contender.
my motherfucking money, Jake! Get my motherfucking money, Jake!
No list of savage moments would be complete without some trash talk. Ironically, Jake Paul's record with trash talk is up and down. Because of his larger-than-life persona on YouTube, he tries to exude a crazy, manic, and sometimes brutal energy in interviews and press conferences. Frankly, it doesn't always land. But some trash talk is at its best after the fight is over, when you realize that it wasn't just smoke. Before the Nate Robinson fight, Jake Paul addressed Robinson's kids, telling them not to watch the fight because of what he was going to do to their dad. That's pretty rough for trash talk. But in the end, Jake wasn't wrong. It ended up being a prophecy, and a savage one at that.
Nate's kids, if you're watching, please don't watch the fight. I don't want to embarrass your dad in front of you. Please, Nate's kids, don't watch the fight.
Jake Paul is very divisive as a celebrity. He is strongly disliked by many and accused of being unserious, manipulative, and worse. But in this newfound boxing career, Jake Paul has attempted to prove that he may not be the best guy in the world, but he is serious about the new direction in his career. Putting family and friends aside, he has started training at the legendary Big Bear Training Camp in California, a very famous location for its serious and intense training. Not for the faint of heart. Moving to Big Bear for a big part of the year, missing celebrations and holidays with his family, Jake Paul is trying to show the world that this isn't a trend for him or a gimmick. He wants to be taken seriously as a fighter.
It's high altitude, no distractions. It's like a whole nother.
Despite his start, Jake Paul still has a long way to go before many worldwide will accept him as a serious boxer. Opponents with different skill sets and levels of experience need to be tackled and defeated before serious boxing pundits will allow him to call himself a true fighter. But the foundation he already has is significant. It's not nothing. If he continues on this trajectory, who knows how far he will go. And perhaps we'll have many more savage moments to witness in the future of Jake Paul's boxing career. What's your favorite savage Jake Paul moment? Do you know of any we missed? Comment below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching the Ultimate Fighting Network.